Good morning, everyone. We'll continue here in the Horowitz NIDCHEI YISRAEL, and he's speaking over here why it is that so many Yidden who left the spiritual comfort and bastion of Yiddishkeit in Europe and ended up in places like America or Africa or England, why it is that so easily they veered from the path of Yiddishkeit. V'yesh mehem shesibas hishrashlusahu mitzad chesron yediyah. One of the reasons that they weaken in their observance is because they're lacking knowledge. They're ignorant in what the Torah wants, what Hashem wants from them. They don't know how to behave properly in such times. When they are traveling and wandering around in distant lands. They don't know what Hashem wants of them. Why? First of all, there's no one there to ask. There's no Rabbanim that went first into America to set up a shop, to be able to teach and to be able to guide those Yidden, those Jews that would come from Europe. There's no one to ask over there. A bunch of Amaratzim, only ignorant people are existing in these lands. Afilu dinim abshutim, even simple halachas and laws. There's no one to ask. V'kol shekain, all the more so, dinim atzrichim iyun, those laws that require more thought and more study. V'gam roiv eitza hechlis chazik v'yonei adas, and so too, to get the proper advice and direction of how to strengthen oneself in Yiddishkeit, in such places and times. Kisham sarach harbe chizik b'nyanazeh, in those places, you need a lot of chizik, a lot of strength, a lot of support, a lot of inspiration, and there's no one around. Says the Horowitz, in our places, in our shtetl, in our town, there is a certain level of busha, of embarrassment, that helps a person to continue walking in the ways of Hashem. That he shouldn't be embarrassed by his friends, and his companions. If he would decide to go off the derech of Hashem. Because when you live in a place where everybody is frum, says the Horowitz, and everybody's trying their best to be good ehrliche Yidden, so then it's not so easy for you to just walk away from the derech of Yiddishkeit. There's a certain busha, there's a certain embarrassment that a person feels that holds them in check. Now, whether or not these words apply to our generation or not, we unfortunately have an epidemic of children that are going off of the derech, departing from the pathways of Hashem. It doesn't seem to be that the busha factor, that the embarrassment and shame factor plays in as much as it used to. Maybe in the beginning, when a kid begins to go off the derech, they feel some shame, they feel embarrassment, it's hard for them. But at a certain point, even though that they're growing up in frum families and frum neighborhoods, and there's yeshivas, and there's koilels, and there's Beis Yaakovs, and there's shuls, and there's kosher food, and there are rabbanim, and there are friends, and there are parents to give them chizuk and the like. Nevertheless, in the epidemic that we have today, kids are going off, Rahman al-Itzlan. Says the Horowitz, that wasn't the natural thing back then. When you lived in the European shtetl, people stayed strong. They were mechazik, they strengthened each other. They inspired each other. They gave inspiration and encouragement to one another. And they had rabbanim that they could ask their questions to, and they could see the world, the rich world of Judaism unfolding in front of them. However, the Sham over there, because of our many sins, it's just the opposite because of hanging out with all of these peichazim v'reikim, these just irresponsible and ignorant people. So it cools off the yiras shamayim of the person themselves. It cools off their connection to the Ribbono Shel Olam, and as a result of that, they are struggling and they are straggling and they are disappearing from within the fold of Yiddishkeit because they simply don't have the right people around them to try to keep them holding themselves together. Rahman al-Itzlan lo aleinu. And therefore it's so important, says the Horowitz, that you find yourself in a place that is conducive for your spiritual growth and your life as a frum, as a religious Jew. All the best.